Welcome to Different Gravy, not just another Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Richard Miller, and my co-host, he's the dandy Wednesdayman that you're too scared to mention. He spends his cash on looking flash and grabbing your attention. Stand and deliver your money or your life. It's Lukey Gledall. How are you doing today, Luke?
I'm good. Rich. How are you?
Not too bad. Trying to bring some upbeat energy to the intro. There's been some negativity there. There's been some sly digs at your wonderful person. So I'm a changed man. Spring is in the air. I'm giving up being mean for Lent. I think I'm a bit late for that, but anyway, still, it all works out.
Well, it's okay. You just had to have more pancakes before you start being a bitch.
Maybe I'll go for like more of a kind of Ramadan feel and just not be mean during daylight hours, but be super mean as soon as the sun goes down. Right.
Happy Ramadan, everybody.
Happy Ramadan. Get me a Ribena. I'm going in. Well, we've sort of decided, and often when we do this hubristic act of saying that there's been no news, often there's a very blatant thing that we've missed. But we're going to wade in. We're just going to go into the match coverage for this weekend, and make this declarative statement that there was absolutely zero news this week. Wednesday related. I know there was Partygate. I know there's the continuing World War III saga, but in terms of direct relation to Sheffield Wednesday, we're saying that there's no news.
I think there was an announcement that Wednesday are in their 400th wave of Wednesdayism.
Yes, I know there was an advert for a new groundsman.
Oh yes, yeah.
Big noise.
But
yeah, there was a big match this weekend. A head-to-head tussle with one of our divisional rivals.
Eventually, right at the ball end of the order of this round of League One football.
Yeah, so we get to see everybody that we didn't want to win yesterday and push us out of the playoffs. And then we saw a bit of a hiccup from Wigan on their particular promotional...
we did, and we got to see the Millers remember how to win a game of football, which they had a brief... I think they collectively as a team, they had a league concussion, and then they just forgot how to win games of football. But
they were so... Yeah.
But those Millers are back at it.
They were so embarrassed by the sight of Barry Chuckle turning up on a Papa John sponsored moped that they did the only right and fair thing and lost the next couple of football matches in some sort of form of humility.
We will be withdrawing our attacking intent in the next forthcoming games as an apology.
Out of respect to the world at large. We're throwing ourselves prostrate on the ground, asking for forgiveness through the means of dollying up a couple of losses in League One. Yeah, so they sort of righted their poor form of late, but Wigan have had a bit of a slump. It seems like a few teams around there have had a bit of a slump, but our opponents today, MK Dons, come into the game in rather fine fettle. Not lost a game this calendar year, I believe.
Was there some stat about they haven't conceded more than one goal at home for a long time? I can't remember.
Ruthless at the back, finding goals up top, and barely ever having to rely on former loanee Theo Corbeneau for any of the bullets in this particular endeavour. But there's been a Wickham goal or two in there, hasn't there? I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I think a modicum of trepidation when Wednesday's relatively poor away form against a team that tend to do rather well at home, have been doing rather well in general. And so not the sort of game coming in that you want to see the changes that we had to make.
No, and I guess there's a mild kind of segue into tying the two things together. As there wasn't really much news. We did hear that there was going to be a couple of players missing out. The two that we heard there were two major players, one through injury and one through illness, is right, what yes. I think I heard.
Okay.
It's kind of creeping around, and that seemed to have some degree of veracity, as Hutchinson and Luongo were both out.
Yeah, so Hutchinson, a little knock in training is what we've heard from Darren Moore, so possibly he's out for the season because that's what a little knock in training amounts to. Massimo Luongo has a chest infection, which could take, for somebody who works a desk job, that's something that's maybe takes you out of action for a fairly short while, really. But somebody who does something that actually involves kind of physically running around a football pitch, that potentially could have a bit of a long tail for him before he feels back up to speed.
Sure, it's not the situation. He just has to mute himself while he wheezes on Teams.
Exactly, yeah. But the third person to miss out was Nathaniel Mendez-Laing, but that seems to have been just a swap in terms of a kind of tactical choice.
Yes, fair. That is fair, because I think that's something that maybe we looked at from a viewpoint and a lens as a Wednesday fan to say, that's something we kind of wanted, so it felt less of an enforced change rather than a little bit of rotation. So how do we kind of see this, Rich, for Liam Palmer coming in one of the three centre-back berths? There are, they say there's more stars in heaven than thoughts or something. What is the saying?
That's what they say. Yep. Beautiful saying as well.
Beautiful saying. Setting that then
without a poster.
There's certainly a lot of combinations of centre backs in more Sheffield Wednesday than there are possibly stars in heaven. Possibly stars that we can see in the heaven, at least, perhaps.
Now, I've got to say, not that miffed to see Samuel Hutchinson dropping out. I think he's been at fault for several of our goals of late. And I don't think he's a natural for that left-sided centre-back slot. And I think, although it's what position is natural to Liam Palmer because he plays so many, but I do think he is a better left-sided centre-back than probably anybody other than Gibson in our squad currently. He's got the versatility to play there. And he's got quality on the ball that Hutchinson doesn't have, and several other players don't really have. So I was quite pleased to see him come in.
Okay,
I think alongside Dean and Story.
Is this a praise of Liam Palmer, or is this a further damnation of Shay Dunkley?
There will be plenty of time for the latter.
Talk about Mr. Dunkley.
But this really more is I think Liam Palmer has earned my trust as a player in the Sheffield Wednesday back five across several positions. He's someone who I'm generally happy to see pitch up, and I expect him nearly always to do a very good job in there.
I think that's fair. I think he's someone who's seemed and been deemed unfortunate. Given the form and kind of comeback of players who are more natural centre-backs. And, we would never hope that he would ever replace Hunt and Johnson in their current forms. So I can kind of see that. I guess the other thing was, seemingly look at this, I wondered maybe Dominic Iorfa, but Dominic Iorfa seems to has a knock of some variety. Yeah,
he's joined the training club, not club, the training ground, not club. Because definitely I would have preferred to see Iorfa come on when we had to make a substitution during the first half. We'll get there. But yeah, so Palmer came in at that left side of centre back. Dele Bashiru took up Luongo's post in midfield. Although obviously he doesn't do that kind of holding role that Luongo does. So in actual fact, but Bayers tended to be the deeper of the three midfielders with Bannon and Dele Bashiru kind of leading the line a bit more in that way. Mm-hmm. And then, Berahino up top for Nathaniel Mendez-Laing. A change that I think we've generally felt was maybe a preferred option a couple of times recently. There's a physicality to the way Nathaniel Mendez-Laing plays that very few players can call upon. Mm-hmm. But he's by no means a striker. He doesn't have any kind of natural talent for the role in the way that on a good day Berahino knows what he's supposed to do as a striker, and he knows where the net is on a good day. Mm-hmm. Although granted, we've seen some not so good Berahino days. Yeah. So so Corbeanu and Wickham on the bench for MK Dons. They're the kind of curse of the X threats in this game. Obviously, Corbeanu much more direct in terms of he was playing for us last time we played MK Dons, and now he's playing against us. So that's quite a keenly felt switch of allegiance. But he's not been getting, for a guy that supposedly moved for more game time, he's not been getting to play that often for them.
No, not at all, which is it's quite funny, gotta be honest.
It's rather funny, isn't it?
It's rather funny. It's rather funny. And, we will never fully see the full situation, but, funny when he came on to boos from the Wednesday fans.
Yeah.
This game. Sure, I just want to talk a little bit of kind of backstory, just kind of looking behind the curtain here at this game. So, first of all, fuck Sky Sports.
Yes.
Fuck them rather heartedly.
Yeah.
Just incredibly shitty behavior to move things fouling the regulation time frame they're given to move football games. To set up this little narrative. They also kind of piss on the bonfire by just being generally terrible. So This is a game which is selected for television, so I don't get coverage on iFollow in Canada.
Yeah.
But then the hilarious thing was because it was an international coverage, but wasn't actually covered in Canada through DAZN. So I had to go get myself a grotty stream. Do you find, Rich, that going into a presentation in the studio, they had some general presenter lady who I've not seen before. She seemed fine. She was good at her job.
Some lady that they grabbed on the way to the gym and said, "Would you like to present some football?"
She was a fine television presenter. She was okay. She wasn't my biggest irk. No. I had no irk really with. I question whether she knew she was going to be on TV today. That's all. She hadn't exactly dressed up for the occasion, but I have no qualms with her. Well, the two chaps are in a nice jacket each, at least. Come on, you make a special occasion. You don't go on telly every day. Anyway, there wasn't. Oh, jeez, I didn't want to leave it here. I didn't want to lead you to hate women, Rich. Always hating women.
There's
never me. It's never me on the podcast. It's never me saying anything. Comedy misogynistic. It's always.
But I would not. If it was
these women. Oh.
If it was David Prutton, I wouldn't expect him to turn up in like shorts and a t-shirt.
No, you wouldn't. But I thought she was fine. Anyway, but looking across, the point I'm trying to get to, it was like
this is
that kind of maybe sets the tone. There's like some present I've personally not heard of, but she was good.
She was absolutely fine.
She was fine. Aaron McLean. And I say Aaron McLean because I knew his name. I didn't get the name of the other guy, and I've no idea who the hell he is. But clearly, just I wondered if we could have got like a CGI Muppet, or maybe a dog with some peanut butter in its mouth, and then we could have got some kind of some sound clips of David Prutton with stitched together through AI. It would have been better than this tedious idiot. all of this pisses me off because it's a bit like, do you want to come to my wedding? Sure, I'll come to your wedding. And then you turn up and it's like, what's for the, for dinner? Oh, it's a series of cheese sandwiches. You've done all this and we're having fucking cheese sandwiches. This is Sky Sports. This is terrible. I also thought it was hilarious the way they present the background. So this was Chef Eald Wed versus MK Dons. sounds like you're ringing up. It's like a ticket line, like like an automated phone ticket line. You're ringing up there. Just terrible. Everything about this just pissed me off. For us to be the last game to play, because I knew in very typical Sheffield Wednesday fashion that I hate it when this happens. I hate it when games get moved around and we're the last to play in a round of football. So, because everything that happened yesterday wasn't particularly fun. There weren't any decent results from a Sheffield Wednesday perspective. I think Shrewsbury done us a favour for a bit, but then Sunderland, those sneaky Ruddy Mackhams, got themselves a last-minute winner, didn't they?
They did.
So it's all just terrible. And then we have all this to thank very late on a Saturday.
Did the other person, the other man two, did he...
Man two.
Did he keep saying Oz about MK Dons? Or was that just in my head?
Oh, he could well have.
We need to do this.
Possibly, yeah.
I think... So I must confess, I didn't sort of pay full attention to the previous two games, but so I don't know whether they had those two for all three games, or whether they swapped them out. They had generic lower league personages 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and we ended up with 5 and 6.
They did seem to. I think I did seem to catch a bit of the end of the footage before we did the transition. So I think they were basically pulling a 5-hour stint of spouting garbage about a number of League One chaff teams, including us.
That might explain why when they were kind of running through the players, they did the MK Dons players to look out for, and then switched to Sheffield Wednesday. And I think Aaron McLean just sort of went, Barry Bannon. I didn't do any explanation of what he might do.
He's good, isn't he?
And Sheffield Wednesday have got some players. Barry Bannon. I
looked on my team sheet and there's 11 of them. Speaking of nondescript Chavas on Sky Sports, who was nondescript Coventry Chava, colour commentary, because he talked a lot about playing with Bannon.
Danny Gabardon. Okay.
That
was the pleasing Cardiffian tones of Danny Gabardon.
He was a bit more seasoned in talking, being punditry.
I actually quite like Danny Gabardon, to be fair. Yeah. I think of what were you calling them? Chavas, yeah. Of the lower league Chavas, he's chief amongst Chavas. Is Danny Gabardon.
He's a bit more seasoned and experienced. I mean, it's like a good year of Baby Sham, I guess.
He's close enough. He's only finished playing recently enough that he actually has shared a dressing room with a few players. So Barry Bannon was one of those, and he also mentioned Boateng when he came on for MK Dons. He sort of said, he was coming through as a youngster. But
can I talk about a couple of other misnomers before we get into the misnomers from the commentary stuff? I made a note. Already worrying talk of Wednesday having a championship this and a championship that by the commentary team. Most uninspiring Dr. Seuss book yet. Could you, would you in the league above?
So Sky famously have the narrative.
Yes.
They've decided what the story of this game is. They pay cursory attention to. So this was the League One's big day of showing League One matches, because they don't show that many in the season. But this was League One. We're showing 3 League One games. It's all going to be about League One and the stories. And the story of today was MK Dons are going for promotion. This is all They're going for promotion. Oh, Wigan have slipped up, so it's a big day for MK Dons. And really, cursory mentions at best for the fact that we are serious playoff contenders. Not really something, certainly in the lead up to the match, not something that they cared to talk about in any great detail at all. I mean, really, we were there to be the counterpoints to the wonderful, all-conquering McDonkeys. That's the story today. Is who were those other guys? Who cares? Because the MK Dons were here. We all got to see the donkeys. But it's always fun to see them scramble to rewrite that narrative mid. You can hear the sound of cue cards being ripped up as they have to frantically.
I mean, we were going to have a strawberry pavlova for the afters in this wedding for dessert, but Wednesday just turned up and wazzed all over their straubs.
So it's more cheese sandwiches, actually.
I've had a bit of sugar to these cheese sandwiches.
Sprinkle a bit of icing sugar on them. You can call it Monte Cristo if you want, but it's still a cheese sandwich.
So again, the other, I guess I'll say one more misnomer before we get into the meat of this with another misnomer from the commentary team. So they, in the process of looking at Dean Lewington at one point, gave a stat by saying that he had something like 850 appearances.
Yeah.
But that I think they included academy football because he's only got 735 or something along those lines according to his Wikipedia.
Okay.
Was that right? Did I make am I correct in my naughty ticking off? What do you mean wagging the finger?
Let me Google Dean Lewington now.
But do you remember when they brought that up? Because I swear they said it was 850 for MK Dons. When I think he played 43 game times for Wimbledon. I mean, the man is nearly as old as I am. He's old as dust.
Yeah. Isn't that then part of this, the
rewriting of franchise history?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But even so, that's still not over 800 appearances. I thought they were looking at his academy record, and I'm like, you can't talk about someone's record include academy football.
He's trying. He's doing the Pele thing, isn't he? Pele claimed to have scored 1,000 goals, but then it was like very hard to verify because it included like youth football and reserve football.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
he's the Pele of MK Dons.
The Pele of MK Dons.
I've got to say, rather enjoyed the gut that Dean Lewington was carrying around. I mean, really giving us fat lads hope that we might still be able to
make a late run.
We might still be able to embarrass ourselves and tee up Barry Bannon for a wonder goal in front of everybody, given half a chance. Because his and the the little bib they have to wear so that they get tracked on the pitch, that was really bringing out the best in his bitch tits as well. It was like a little wonder bar for him, tottering around at the left side of that back three.
Oh, Dean Lewington to bring in. So my first note of the game, Rich. Story gives the ball away early doors, and already Lewington goes through the back of Gregory. The no-mark commentators declare, welcome to the game, Lee Gregory. And indeed, welcome any Wednesday fans who thought they'd win a free kick up front this game of football. Yeah,
it was a taster of how they're pretty no-nonsense. Lewington and what was the other one called? Darling. Going against his namesake, Darling is an absolute... well, I don't know. He's not a nice man.
the antithesis of Darling.
Goes by the name Darling, but it turns out he's an absolute dickhead.
I don't have a lot of notes this game. I feel like
my notes are pretty much like, I think the first half really was, there was not much that happened other than the goals, but we had 4 goals.
I know. Yeah, exactly. That's probably the case. Yeah.
So the first one came pretty much the 10-minute mark, right?
Sure.
Yeah. In fact, it was on all the goals, the first 4 on the 10-minute mark. It's like bang, bang, bang. 10 minutes, bang, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
So we had a chance in the 9th minute, which came to that. And I want to bring it up and give it a little bit of focus because there's a nice little bit of Luke kicking that I'm going to give in this episode.
Okay.
Which I'm quite looking forward to doing.
Bit of Luke kicking.
Byers does so well in the 9th minute to thread it through for Gregory. So Byers kind of did a bit of motoring forward and then teamed in so nicely for Gregory. Gregory took a touch and maybe didn't quite get the best angle, but it was still a very good shot, I must say, to try and place it into the corner. And then it was Jamie Cumming, who did a good stop to put it round the corner. And it was really funny watching the footage afterwards. You know, if we focus on the facial expressions, we see Lee Gregory look a little bit exasperated, a little bit head in hands with himself. And Jamie Cumming looks as cocky as anything.
Yes.
What an arrogant looking man.
Yeah, rather a cocky looking boy at that moment.
And then how delicious is it that this tees up the next event in the Luke Notes timeline of this game against MK Dons. 10th minute, from the corner, following a beautiful training ground routine, Bannon strokes it to the near post. He collects the return ball. Who did he collect it back from on that play?
Byers.
That was Byers, nice. And then just absolutely strokes it to the outset. And Berahino absolutely smashed it towards the keeper, who spills it into the corner like the gormless twat he is.
Yes.
How have they only conceded this many goals with this guy as a number 1? He was shit today. He was really terrible. Such an awful, awful goalkeeper. I mean,
this really was the sort of half that, you know, if you heard that he was crying in the dressing room at half time, you would believe it. He pretty much let in apart from that Gregory shot, he let in every shot we had.
Pretty much. Yeah.
He had 4 shots on target and he let in 3 of them. So that first smug one, maybe he's just like, enjoy this while you can, because you know what you're like. Drink this in. Drink this in, cum dog, as he probably calls himself.
And as you say, there's not a great deal of notes, but I mean, from this, you know, we're 1-0 up at this point. Following here, I mean, is there anything you want to say about that goal?
No, I mean, as you said, I thought that Gregory moment, I think Gregory, it looked like he was already celebrating. I think he felt he'd got his angle right for the shot. He didn't get the cleanest of strikes. But it was really nice work from Byers, took it past a couple of players and kind of did that Ronaldinho thing of like looking one way and playing the pass another, because he was looking at Johnson on the left as he played it in behind the defence to Gregory. So that was really tasty. But yeah, and a short corner routine. I mean, immediately my general rule of thumb is, short corner. And then by the time I'd uttered those words, in fact, actually, it was my sister had uttered those words this particular time round. By the time those words had left her mouth, Berahino had scored. I was really chuffed for him as well, because I think, as we've talked about, he's been a bit on. I think he can feel a bit hard done by, in that he scores a hat-trick and then has barely played any football since then. He's really through no fault of his own, he just hasn't been picked. So I think to get his start and to get a goal within 10 minutes, good on him. You know, that's exactly what you want to do as a striker, and he keeps his very good goal-scoring run going as well, which can only help us, really. My next note is the 20th minute, which is the next goal.
So in between, I want to say, Rich, with a flare being let off following the goal, and my eyes hazing over the beady quality of the dodgy stream, the continental dodginess of Cumming, and the spacious arena of Milton Keynes, I asked myself, is this a Serie B game I see before me? Wonderfully Italian feel.
All the glamour of Italia 1990.
Milton Keynes, yeah.
It's got the beautiful roundabout.
The roundabout's just a hum of people wanging it round in mopeds. Just shouting at each other in Italian. Beautiful.
So the next goal, the sort of lead up moment to that. So again, it was a set piece that got the goal, but the lead up to that was a really nice bit of play from Deli Bashiru. There's a few times today where he just sort of dropped the hammer in terms of just powering forward and breaking through a few challenges and breaking some lines, which I love to see him do. He's one of the very few players in the squad that can run at people and kind of make things happen the way he does. And this time around, he did it very efficiently. He drew in 2 or 3 players and then spread the ball out wide to Johnson. Unfortunately, nobody had really made a run in the box for him. But thankfully, Johnson, maybe he saw it happen and he decided to plough his cross straight into the nearest defender, which meant we got a corner. And this was just a very straightforward corner, really, in some ways. Bannon took it long. I think Story was very close to getting a little flick on at the near post, but he missed, and it landed at Gregory's feet, and he steered it home first chance. And again, Luke's bête noire, Cummings, does not cover himself in glory. He lets the ball go straight between his legs and kind of points around at anybody else like it could possibly be their fault that he's terrible in goal.
Yeah, I said a bit like that game you play in pubs with a tuppence. So clearly when we got it to the end, flipped up and caught it. Cummings clearly said under. And then, as I put from my notes, Gregory runs onto me so well to put it in the net, but also in between the smaller net as framed by the keeper's legs and goalies.
A Chelsea youngster, which won't endear you to him.
Really, I think they signed him from Gillingham actually in the January window, or he spent time at Gillingham. So maybe is he on loan, or is he a full-time disaster at Milton Keynes?
It looks like he's still at Chelsea under 23s.
Okay.
So, a bit confusing, but
so there we go. I was worried. Speaking of young keepers, actually, so it was semi-news, if there was ever any news from this lack of news week. But we got some footage of the players in training for MK Dons, and since there was a rumor of players being missing, I was worried that Peacock Farrell wasn't going to be playing today.
Right,
because they had footage of 2 goalkeepers who I've never seen in my life. Including one lad who is I think he's of a mixed race origin, and he has the number 82, and he has a very big haircut, and never seen this guy before in my life. So I imagine he's a very young goalkeeper who's come. So seeing those 2 focused at the beginning with another youngster who I'm not particularly aware of. Made me wonder if we were going to see Wildsmith, or we were going to see even a young goalkeeper that we've never seen before. But luckily that was not the case. I was texting with my eldest brother Andy about that goal. He sent me, what did he send me in text? He sent me the emoji with the emoji with the 2 hearts for eyes, followed by the words "Love Train." Because it was a very Love Train-like corner, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
It was one of those, like, we're all going to run onto this, and they're all going to, the position defense are going to shit themselves. What a great hit by Gregory. He met it so well.
Reiterated again by Sky here. So this has snuck up on us in terms of being a statistic. We have scored the most goals in the league from corners. Apparently, we've scored 15 goals from corners this season.
Are we going to stop doing the podcast, Rich? Because we've been talking about something else completely for the last
I know
40 odd games this season, whatever it was.
And obviously 2 today to add to our collection. So we were number 1 before.
Well, this was like this is like some of the first few goals I've seen from corners this season.
Yeah,
so, like what?
Well, and unlike your boy on Fatboy Slim's album cover, we're number 1. So why try harder? We're number 1. We're going to try even harder, is what we're saying. A real timely reference because I'm cool and young.
Exactly. But we are very profligate at corners. So does this mean we've just had have we had 4,000 corners this season?
Must be. I'm really baffled by the statistic, but we laughed at some manager a couple of weeks ago and
said a similar thing, right? Yeah, said that Wednesday are a real force at corners, and we're like, which Wednesday have you been watching?
In fact, it may well have been the AFC Wimbledon boss, just to kind of bring things full circle.
Are the under-23s good at corners? Are the ladies' team good at corners? Did you confuse Sheffield Wednesday with Manchester City?
Oh, no, so it would have been Cheltenham Town, I think, because that's where Massimo Luongo got the one off Dean's assist, didn't he? And he said, we should have known better because they're so good from corners. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to go back and remember all these wonderful corner. When there's a goals of the season compilation, we'll suddenly find out that half of them were from corners. And here we thought we were useless at corners, and we're not. We were good the whole time.
Everybody look forward to the Different Gravy corner goal episode.
We'll have to have
the finest goals from corners, all purely from this season, apparently, from when we've been doing Different Gravy.
We're going to have a competition all its own of the best corner goal of the season. We could do the top 10, and several would miss out. Apparently.
And there may be more. Who knows? What other features are coming?
So, anything else before the 30th minute and the third?
Just 4 words from me. This is very comfortable. I wrote. I mean, it seemed weird. It felt like there was a narrative to the narrative about MK Dons, because Sky wanted their beloved, precious MK Dons to get a win, but those big naughty boys, Sheffield Wednesday, turned up and.
Well, speaking of statistics that are either surprising, unsurprising, useful, not useful, MK Dons are the team with the most successful passes in the league. They have the highest average number of passes in the league as well, per game in the league. They did a lot of pointless passing around the back, an awful lot of it. And we, by and large, were like, if you want to just do that in front of your own box, diddle yourself, have at it. We frankly don't want to get involved in that filthy business, Dean Lewington. As you diddle your bitch tits in front of us, we don't want to see it. We'll stand close enough to make sure you're not, interfering with other people.
If you were to convert part of the stadium into a pickleball court, then you do as such.
There was an awful lot of. They got 5 at the back. They passed all the way from one fullback through each defender individually to the other fullback, and then back again, and then maybe back to the keeper. There's just a lot of pointless possession, and I know the whole deal is to draw us on, but we didn't get sucked in. We didn't get into the game of just chasing after them. I think we applied smart pressure at times. We nearly caught them out at times, but we didn't. What they're wanting you to do is lose your heads and just go tearing after them and leave nice big gaps. And I think by and large we did a really good job of not doing that. We kept our discipline, kept our shape, and were very, very hard for them to get anything going against.
There was no mom spaghetti on our pink shirts, was there?
No, exactly. Yeah,
I liked. Yeah, I really like that you brought that up, because I was really impressed with our press, because it was, we didn't get sucked into that. We didn't dally. We didn't kind of persevere. That was something, and I liked also seeing Bannon kind of push up, which is something which I think we've talked about before, being like something that we've known is something that Moore has wanted to do, and sometimes I think we've looked at it and like, really?
There's almost like a 3 up top at times today.
It was. Those two just part like the Red Sea, and then told Moses Bannon goes up the middle.
Lots of comparisons to biblical figures for Bannon today, because I've seen him compared on the Twitters to one Mr. JC. Who we think about at this time of year. Do we want to talk? Should we talk? Is it time now, Luke? Is it time?
I think it is. What better time is there?
So we were doing some of our own passing around at the back, and Bailey Peacock-Farrell got a bit fed up of that, a bit bored, and looked very long. Looked long as in behind their back line long. Sent them all kind of scurrying back, and that man Lewington took what should have been a fairly standard kind of header, just head it as hard as you can, head it away. You've done your job as a defender, but his header just dropped. And what should have been a comfortable clearance really came back to bite him on the bum, because Barry Bannan was onto it like a shot, chested it down, and thumped home the most glorious half volley.
Mm-hmm.
This was really special stuff. Like fully 40 yards out, he lobbed the goalkeeper from. And I think that what I was more impressed about as well is, it went so high up and then dropped like a stone, but still hit like the back of the net. Quite often when you see a lob from distance, it's like it kind of lands down in the goal. This was still the arc of it was just so perfect.
It's just such a brilliant execution. My notes were, BPF takes it long, headed out to Bannan, who takes a touch and wellies his little foot through it and takes a goal shot over the top of the hapless Cumming. And just great to see that useless POS keeper completely off his line and like running back to it like he's like exasperatingly trying to get back in his house or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was joyful. Absolutely joyful. Just beautiful. I mean, brilliant technique, perfect execution. Well done, Barry Bannan. He's giving us lots of delicious goals this season. Is Barry Bannan? He's having a one-man goal of the season competition, and he will also be a major contributor to all those corner goals that we keep scoring as well. So notes wise, 3-0, absolutely kind of in the ascendancy. That's that comfortable feeling was absolutely borne out by the scoreline as well. I did put at the 34th minute, we had a bit of a reminder that MK Dons were dangerous. I think we got a little bit sort of pulled out of position, and there was a through ball that Palmer had to sort of smartly cut out. Yeah. And then an unfortunate thing happens. It didn't seem to be related to any particular incident. He didn't seem to be fouled or anything like that, but Harley Dean sort of took a knee on the edge of the box. Looked like he was sort of gesturing about something to do with his head or his eyes. I did wonder whether it might have counted as a concussion substitution, but afterwards we're told by Moore that he felt something in his calf. But it's definitely looked more like he was complaining about something to do with his vision. If I'm inexpertly reading the sign language, the Harley Dean sign language, I would have said he was having some problem with his vision. But he comes off, and Che Dunkley comes on, and the whole feel of the game changes. It's hard to. I think part of that's the fans reacting. I think part of that is the players just not feeling as confident and comfortable in their new teammate. And to make matters worse, pretty much the first thing that Dunkley does is hand possession away to an opposition player. Very much in the way that Lewington had done for Barry Bannan. Mm-hmm. He nods the ball straight down for Twine. Twine was very good all game. He was very good against us last time. He's very good in this game against us. Nods it down to Twine's feet. Twine sets Parrott away on the break. I thought Story, and I think they did say on the commentary, I thought Story and Bailey Peacock-Farrell did all right in the situation, but they're kind of on a bit of a hiding to nothing. Parrott's clearly good enough to go with both feet in that situation, which does... Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, it's a difficult one, because I was wondering about... So my notes have said From that defensive problem, as you can see, Story jockeying Parrott and doesn't do enough or commit. And then I said afterwards to be a little bit fairer, or maybe Parrott's just quicker in general, which it seems to be. It seems to have a yard of pace.
I think Story was trying to keep him on his left, which is his weaker foot.
Yeah.
But it didn't work because he got a shot away with his right, didn't he? So
yeah,
he managed to poke it goalwards with his right, and
it's good chip.
Palmer and Dunkley were just about there on the line, but all Palmer could do really was just provide the finishing touch, and
yeah.
He did well, Parrott. It's not a given to score in that situation. He was played through well. It was a good weighted ball that put things in his favour, but it's not a given to score from that position.
Yeah, and I think you'd probably give most of the blame for that one from a Wednesday defensive perspective is that clearance header from Dunkley.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's the fact, it's a combo, isn't it? Because so he sells himself on the header. It's a bad header, so he gives possession away. And then he doesn't have the recovery pace. He should be running then back with Story so that there's 2-on-1 against Parrott, but he can't catch up. He's the third player. That Palmer gets there before him to the situation. He's the third player to arrive out of the three defenders. So it's all the things coming to roost. Like it's overexerting yourself and putting yourself in a bad position because you just do. That's how you defend. You're kind of like it's either 10 out of 10 or it's nothing. That's how Dunkley goes for the ball in the air. He sells himself or he doesn't do anything at all. So he sells himself. It's bad, and then he's not quick enough to recover. So it's all just it's just bad positioning, bad execution, and then also showing his shortcomings as a defender. So yeah, no, I mean obviously 3-1 at half time, not to be sniffed at, but it did feel like the whole kind of feeling of the match had changed somewhat with the change, with the Len conceding the goal. It felt a much worse situation to be walking in at 3-1 rather than 3-0 up. It's quite funny. Bannon at the end of the match said about his goal, he's like, "Oh, it's good to get that third one because 2-0 can be quite a tricky lead." I was like, "Oh yeah, because 3 felt wonderful, Baz." So comfortable. I loved it. Mm-hmm. So half time. What were you thinking at half time?
I guess my notes are, I made a note purely about some of that Bannon hassling through the middle of the front two. I said, strange plan coming to fruition, which, I've covered before. Outside of that, I just said, it's almost comfortable, still very Wednesday, and the rest of it was still very Wednesday. I mean, we got the 3 points, which is the most important thing, but
and the most un-Wednesday bit of all of it.
The most un-Wednesday bit of all of it, but the rest of it seemed very Wednesday from being in such a lead, such a position. It was weird. I mean, watching this game was like, we get into the second half. We'll get into the second half, and we'll get into MK Dons ratcheting up and coming out, and I thought that would probably be the case. But really, it was the weird thing for me was watching in the nature I was doing with the kind of coverage and the camera angle. I just felt very weirdly unattached, detached from things. It didn't feel there was any grades. It didn't feel like there was a lot of great, apart from the MK Dons goal, it genuinely to me didn't feel like there was a lot of really accelerated, really quick-paced play to the game.
No, it was we were very, very efficient when we had our chances. We didn't have that many chances, but we took all the ones we made.
Very
and then,
so,
yeah, I think they are a team. It looks very much like I suppose there's lots of teams like this, but they struggled with the fact that we sort of were able to then, because of our goals, sit and watch them play and just sort of say, okay, what have you got? We're gonna sit. We'll push back when you get into our final third, but until then, you can have the ball and do what you like with it because we don't think you can hurt us. And they struggled. They didn't really have much of an answer. Certainly, I think things opened up with when Dunkley came in because he's just not reliable at clearing the football. I think every central defender in League One can head a ball to the halfway line, apart from Che Dunkley, because it might go straight up in the air, it might go left, it might go right, it might drop at his feet. He might miss it altogether. He's just not very good, unfortunately. And I think that's a big part of why the second half they had a way into the match then, because if they could get the ball around him, then they were going to get a second chance and bite of the cherry, a second, a third, because it's just not getting cleared away as efficiently as it should have. Second half, I do have a few notes, but to be honest, a lot of them are the substitutions that happened. It wasn't an incident-filled second half. They had some chances. The first of those, or one of the best of those early on, was the 52nd minute when Coventry almost outdid Bannon. Similar sort of distance. He hit it off the ground and he got an absolutely sweet strike to it, and it sort of cannoned off the inside of the post and thankfully sort of bounced safe. But everybody was just watching it. It was such a good strike. I don't think Bailey Peacock Farrell even dived, because it was just like, well, what can I do if that's it?
He did. He was still beaten up, all ends up. Prior to this, in my note, Sky Sports wanting to basically tell us that MK Dons have won the most points in the league from losing positions. And that was 25 points. So I know they have then. It's a lot of points. I know it's their narrative, but clearly they seem to be a team who seem to stick with it and had a lot of belief. So kudos to them. And then soon after that, then it was that hit from Coventry that you've mentioned. Thankfully, we cleared from the aftermath, but it was still a bit worrying. We're still dealing with Che Dunkley here. It's
also as well, they've obviously got. I mean, Coventry is not their biggest threat from distance, and it sort of made you think like how many players have been, because Twine is like noted for efforts from distance, isn't he? So we were very much of a mind to stop him by whatever means when he got the ball anywhere near the goal. But I suppose if they've got other threats on that front, then that does sort of, you can't foul everybody all the time. It's just not possible. They lost Isa, their striker. Not long after that, he sort of went on a run in behind as Dunkley was doing something strange in not clearing a ball. Isa was darting in behind, but he sort of injured himself. Apparently, they was talking after the match. They were saying that he was fasting, and supposedly the match should have stopped to allow him to take on some sustenance. So I don't know whether there's some sort of muscle fatigue related to the fact he wasn't fueled.
Oh, interesting. He was probably fasting for Ramadan. Is that the case?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But their manager, to be fair, didn't say, "Oh, try and use it as an excuse." He's just like, "Well, if that's the case, I wasn't aware, but if that's the case, then it should have been our team to make sure that happened."
It looked like one of those where it was, players get injured and it's just, just incredibly innocuous when they go down.
The sort of injury that pace players get and people like James O'Connor would never get. It was one of those, wasn't
it? Yeah. He was down for quite...
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, he was down for a fair while, which will probably add up to something we'll talk about at the end of this game. He went off for Boateng. He was stretchered off. That's not kind of fun.
I believe they said, though, during that break, I believe they said that was just under 5 minutes.
Right, okay.
Which... when we consider that we got 10 minutes time added on, I really don't know where that came from.
It's a bit much. I think it was close, but it was a bit much.
Well, considering some of the games we've seen time wasting wise,
I know,
that end up in three. We were not wasting time flagrantly in this game.
Do we put this kind of sin down to just a general lack of consistency regarding opinions and application of rules?
Yeah.
My next note is
the lack of consistency.
Yeah. My next note's the 58th minute with Story entering the book professional foul in the 58th minute.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was good considering he covered for a mess up from Byers.
Yeah. That was a good yellow to take.
Dropped a ball there, and Story I think was did well to just break up that play in the way that defenders do.
Yeah, Byers sort of was looking to play a fairly quick pass, but it ended up kind of rolling off his studs and just kind of dropping for the MK Dons player. So yeah, Story reacted quickly and just hoiked him back. Yeah, a good yellow if such a thing exists. My note, I've got a note about Johnson having a volley around the 67th minute mark. It wasn't particularly a dazzling effort, but it's one of the closer efforts we had in the second half. We didn't really trouble their goal very much. Bannon free kick, and then
for how good you've talked about Scott Twine and how good he generally is, he had a shit shot in the 61st minute.
He did. So bad he wanted to claim a deflection that clearly didn't happen.
Exactly. Yep. He was very, very adamant of really doubled down on his misgivings there. 64th minute, I think, getting into that volley moment, like Baz tried the cheeky little back heel on the line, and then a little bit later, Hunt won a very cheeky free kick a few yards ahead.
Yes.
The following free kick, Bannon swung it in. It comes back for Johnson to try a staggering hit. It would have been some goal had he connected.
He controlled it quite nicely, didn't he? I think he just got the trajectory a little bit off. It sort of moved in a really pleasing way.
Seeing him doing slow motion, like seeing his body angle, that is brilliant form for striking a ball in that fashion.
Yeah.
It's just completely inaccurate,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's beautiful technique, poorly executed, unlike Bannon's beautiful technique, beautifully executed. So this is just worth noting. I think on another day, Darling could have got sent off in this game.
I was wondering if you were going to bring this up because I didn't. I had a moment of like, interesting, and I was there thinking. I was wondering coming into the second half whether that would be something that you would bring up.
Well, he got his yellow card for a foul on Gregory, I believe. Which again was a kind of fairly standard professional foul job. I don't think he did complain because they like complaining to the referee. That's something they do. But he didn't really have many grounds to. But then just 2 minutes after that, he launched himself at Bailey Peacock Farrell's legs after a corner and claimed he'd been pushed. And he hadn't been pushed. He just wanted to take Peacock Farrell out. He just wanted to get in his head. You want to rough him up and get in his head. You shouldn't do that 2 minutes after you've just got a yellow card. It should be somebody else's job if you've just got a yellow card.
And get away with it, right?
Yeah. The ref did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He then later smashed Dunkley in the head with an elbow and got a talking to about it. The ref made a point of going and speaking to him. I don't know what he said. Oh, don't viciously elbow people, please. If you do that again, I might have to give you another yellow card on top of the one you already have. I just thought he was very lucky, I think, in some ways. I think a switched on ref probably would have sent him off for one of those two other incidents. I think the elbow alone was enough to if Dunkley's another player, he rolls around making a big deal of that. That was a horrible challenge. He just went with a pointed. It was like a Fellaini elbow challenge he went for. Completely took Dunkley out. That was the move where Gregory also got kicked in the head, and a player got yellow carded for it.
Right. Okay, that was Coventry.
Coventry.
That was late in the game. Yeah. I mean, we can pretty much just zip through a whole bunch of this, I guess. Really.
We took Bannon off in the 81st. Bannon had gone down around the time of the free kick that we mentioned with Johnson. Bannon had gone down for some treatment, and he came off in the 81st minute for Patterson.
I said Bannon's treatment comes back on gingerly. I mean, he is always gingerly, but now,
Even more gingerly.
Even more gingerly, yeah.
Lovely stuff.
The Darling yellow, the one yellow he did get in this game, as opposed to the two other occasions when he should have got a second yellow. I made a note to say, finally we get a decision against one of our frontmen.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like a long time.
It did.
Berahino and Gregory got very little this game out of this ref.
Yeah, very little at all. There was a lot of kind of rough housing going on. And I felt like they got a lot of soft things the other way.
Though I must say, maybe Gregory was maybe slightly lucky not to get a yellow for a very, very professional foul on Theo Corbeanu when he came on.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get a yellow for that. That was it wasn't the last. It wasn't like a desperation thing because we'd had quite a lot of cover, but it was definitely was a pretty blatant foul.
Yeah, very much so. Very tame and late challenge on him there. Which, yeah, I guess we would say, yeah, Theo Corbeanu came on to booze, as we've said.
And did Sodal.
He tried to conjure up some kittens for us on the left. I mean, I think Johnson did quite well against him. We
contributed a kitten or two to ourselves. I don't know. I just thought he came. I would be disappointed if that was your, as it was for them, last throw of the dice. I don't think they got value for money for the last throw of the dice. He had no impact on the game whatsoever.
That's our problem now.
Well, of course, I know, but it's just.
I mean, if we go into the playoff pitches and Wednesday are there and MK Dons are there, then I hope he continues to do fuck all, and I hope their keepers an absolute bomb scare in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Carries on this rich tradition he has of palming things into the back of the net.
I just to pull us back onto the sort of timeline of things. I loved Gregory winning the foul on the 86th minute. I thought that was just chef kiss, centre forward, dogged old centre forward work. Just kind of working his way in behind enough to draw the contact, and that was really rather lovely stuff. Unfortunately, Johnson didn't have a great. I was thinking, no Bannon on the pitch. This is the opportunity for somebody to kind of lay down a mantle. There must be a few people who think I should be taking the odd set piece in this squad. Surely, like there's a couple of them that ruefully. If only think about if only I was on corners, we might have 18 goals from corners. And I thought somebody's going to step up. This is an opportunity for somebody. Berahino was near it at one point. Then it ended up Byers and Johnson. And Johnson just rubbish. It was just straight over the bar rubbish. It wasn't close. Yeah. It wasn't good. This is when we found out we had 10 minutes added on. We pretty much immediately made the switch for Gregory for Nathaniel Mendez-Laing. I've got to say, a weird change, given that if we'd drawn or lost today, I know that didn't happen, thank goodness, but I think we would have been looking at that. Having lost Bannon to injury, I think taking Gregory off as well was a poor move, because we just lost anything up top. There was just no presence at all.
That's fair.
Because Berahino can't hold the ball up. Nobody expects him to. And Mendez-Laing looks like he should be able to, but he can't either.
But that they're in a position that they're pushing for it. I think you want someone with some legs on to go up the other end and give him some kittens. I mean, prior to this, I think one of the things that kind of frustrated me was, I think it was in that whole melee, the 81st minute. So Corbeanu just beat Johnson and just managed to nick a corner. We went on a really good break from that corner.
Yes.
But the problem was everything involved in there. I was wondering whether Dunkley was fortunate to not put a high boot in. You didn't see or think about that at all?
I thought he was his usual handsy self with his man. But no, I didn't know. Not that I noticed. I can't really recall it being an egregious,
just a regular Shea Dunkley feel up at the disco.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a feel of Frankenstein's monster fresh out of the vat to Shea Dunkley, and his limbs just Oh, I can do movements now. heading. He's a newborn lamb every single time he walks out on the pitch.
Oh, Darren Moore working in the lab late one night. But now I'm just thinking of the monster fuck.
He did the dunk. He did the bad Che dunk. A testy short, a flunk. A dunk. Anyway,
Mendes-Lang comes on. Happy birthday for yesterday.
And he's now the age of his shirt number, isn't he? 42.
42. Yes, exactly. Patson won a free kick in the 93rd minute, which I thought was great work. Great bit of Hauser.
Good powering.
Do you now? And then we come to the 96 minutes of stoppage time. Who did the foul?
Bias.
I didn't see the foul, I'll be honest.
It was soft. I think he did touch him enough probably to fall down, but it wasn't. If he'd wanted to continue, it wasn't like he couldn't continue on if he really wanted to push on. But yeah, Byers sort of bundled Twine over and gave him a free kick opportunity from a long, long way out. But this is Twine. This is his bread and butter. The distance is bread, and the power that he needs to generate from his right foot is the spread he puts upon that their bread.
The never-ending story of Sheffield Wednesday goalkeepers going, can you score if you get in this area?
Yeah,
you can get in there. Then I think you can score, and it happens a lot, really.
Yeah, I do feel like overall, if we took a long-term view of this, I think Bailey Peacock-Farrell might not be the best at free kicks. I think he gets beaten more often than he should. I think we've probably conceded more often than we should have from those sort of efforts. And maybe he's got a bit too much belief in his ability to get across and save things. I don't know. But he got beat. He got beat all ends up here, and he was at full stretch.
If we did the Wednesday never-ending story of goalkeepers conceding those free kicks, who would you want to see on top of Atreyu from our Wednesday keeping history?
Oh lordy!
Would it be Mr. Westwood?
Mr. Westwood, maybe. We'd hope for it to be Mr. Westwood, but he'd get injured in the warm-up and have to be replaced at the last moment by somebody else.
You think he could have the upper body strength to grab a hold of Atreyu?
I reckon Bywater would do a good job.
I guess, yeah, he would have. But not the biggest offender, I guess, because...
No, definitely not.
So Twine bagged. It was a good free kick.
And then we enter the squeakiest of squeaky bum times.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing okay, and then right at the very end, Johnson lost his damn mind. He did a weird spin, like he sort of trapped the ball, and then spun behind it. Did a full 360 degrees rotation behind the ball, like I can't remember what that's called.
A varial.
Is a varial.
He's been hanging out with Sam Hutchinson too much.
No, but is it called like a La Rondelle or something? La Rondelle or something like that, where they go like round spin round the ball, but the ball stays in one space. He did that, but he forgot to involve the ball in it at all.
Marvin Johnson's carousel.
Marvin Johnson, yes. And then
indeed the magic roundabout in Milton Keynes.
Then he just ploughed headfirst into three MK Dons players. A lost possession. They worked it all the way across to Parrott, who cut inside and had a pretty ho-hum shot in the end, thankfully. But he had the opportunity there to win the point for MK Dons. It was in his hands to do it. Thankfully, put it down Bailey Peacock Farrell's throats. That beautiful Beamish boy, Bailey Peacock Farrell, held onto it, and that was all she wrote, because the ref blew the whistle whilst it was in his fine possession. Huge relief.
Indeed. The referee, someone who clearly doesn't follow along with dance numbers, so he didn't blow his whistle when everyone was asking.
But he did reach for the lasers, so come see, come sa.
Come see, come sa.
This is a huge win, right?
Totally. Yeah, I came in with my expectations were so low that I didn't think we would. I thought we might lose. I didn't think we'd get pumped. And quite the opposite happened. Really.
Yeah.
So that was good. Yeah. There is a conservative majesty to what we did today.
Conservative majesty, like it.
Yeah. And again, it's one of those beauties of okay. Yeah, sure. History books will tell the narrative of this game that you had 70% possession. We don't care. We're just going to take 3 points.
Yeah.
This is what it's about. I don't care if you want to fanny about with it.
Possession is ego.
I don't know if Dean Lewington gets some more precious minutes to put on his put on his mantelpiece. How many golden trains do you think Dean Lewington's got?
Oh dear, more than enough. More than his fair few. So it took us back up to 5th. We've got a game in hand on our kind of immediate rivals. So once again, we're in that position. If and it's an enormous if we win that game in hand, we would be on 79 points, which would put us 4th ahead of Plymouth. There was a bit of talk, but I don't know how much you saw at the post-match, but Bannon, there was a little interview with Bannon, which was rather nice. He was given man of the match, as he invariably wins when he's on Sky. And interestingly, he there was they bundled into a bit of talk about automatic promotion. And I'm not really feeling that that's a possibility. I think that's too much. There's too many teams and too far to go. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're comfortably one of the playoff contenders. I don't see us as, I think there's a group of 3 that can go up automatically, and we're not close enough to them.
We should have been that team.
We should, yeah.
We could have been a contender.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Yeah, yes. Yeah, Adrian and things like that. But there was a nice Bannon. I enjoyed the post-match interview.
This is really funny because Rich has seen me giggling and laughing and imagine he's what's on my mind, and which is for some reason I had Eye of my Tiger in the head, but we changed the lyrics, go and stick it up our rivals. It's the Eye of a Tiger, it's the Philip of Fry, and we're gonna stick it up our rivals.
We're gonna stick it up our rivals. They don't like it up them, but that's what we do, right? No, but I like the interview with Bannon afterwards. So the first off, they talked about his goal, and it's just nice to hear all the things he had in his head in that moment. I think speaks to just what a wonderful player he is, how aware he is, how alive he is in those moments. He talked about how he saw that Lewington was scrambling back, so he thought there might be an opportunity that the ball would drop short. He was then hoping it would fall his way. He also made note that he at that moment knew that the keeper was miles off his line, so if he got a shot away quickly, there'd be a good chance. And he also talked about how apparently his dad would always say to him, you should shoot in those situations because goalkeepers aren't expecting it. You should shoot early in those situations. So just all these things, it's nice little insight into the mind of Barry Bannon in that moment.
Nice. I imagine Barry Bannon would have also said, one of the things he didn't say was that he said, and Bannon Senior said, You should shoot, because one day you'll come up against a keeper called Jamie Cumming, who's absolute shybo. Very smart man, Mr. Bannister.
Barry, my boy, come here, come close to me. Come close to me. I've got a few words of wisdom for you now. There will be a young man, called Jamie Cummings. He calls himself Cum Dog, but nobody else uses that nickname for him. And he will be so bad at the position of goalkeeper that you will be able to lob him from fully 40 yards away. And the sight of his little smug visage running back towards the goal, flailing madly like a drowning man, will be so delicious to you. You will relive that moment forever.
Will it be more delicious than Irn-Bru?
If you can imagine such a thing, it will. A whole dinner of haggis, neeps and tatties washed down with Irn-Bru could not match the deliciousness of Jimmy Cummings flailing around as he fails to catch your beautiful lob.
Jamie Cummings, like a cat in a bag about to lapse onto its last lick of life.
Oh, good stuff. So we've got Crewe. We've got Crewe as a kind of adjunct to this Easter weekend now. Not part of the Easter weekend because we're not allowed to enjoy Easter football like other teams. Because we were on Sky, weren't we lucky?
Wow.
But I mean, it's the words you shouldn't say, but a very winnable game, right?
You would think so. And let me remind myself, Crewe are effectively relegated.
Yeah.
You know, they've got their flip-flops on. You know, we have talked about how there'd be a time for thongs, and Crewe are wearing some lovely thongs.
They're a yo-yo team between League One and League Two, and at this point they're in the yo of that cycle. But maybe next season they'll bounce back and be in the yo point of the cycle.
They're in the yo brackets down. But they're hoping to be in the yo phase. That means up.
Maybe the difference is whether it's a capitalized Y or a lowercase y. The first one's capitalized, which I think would be down. I feel
that
like
would be down because that's the first one, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're capitalizing it, unless it's the name of Yo-Yo Ma, which it could be. Is the yo-yo named after Yo-Yo Ma?
I hope so.
I hope so, yeah.
I mean, it's a bit tangential to what he's famous for, but still.
We appreciate all the work
nice to be recognized.
For neoclassical music. We've made this piece of shit, so I have to... We've made this toy that'll annoy children forever.
Oh, dear. It will be almost as popular as fidget spinners. Just you wait.
Just you wait. I think it's long outlasted the fidget spinner. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, Crewe are down. Crewe are officially down. I feel like I know I live in a different country, I get different media, different stuff. I miss it's sad, but I miss the crowning of teams being relegated or promoted at certain points. There's an odd joy to it. It's not purely about it's not about Schadenfreude or celebrating other people's joys. It's just a joy of having something kind of completed.
Yeah.
Like
the solidity, the finality of it.
They cannot get above Fleetwood. They cannot they can't get their leg over Fleetwood.
They can't get their leg over Fleetwood. And given that they can't get their leg over Fleetwood, their hopes of getting anything going with Gillingham are slim to none.
You ever spoke to anybody who's sometimes men have impotency problems, but sometimes it's like you speak to friends like, I could get it up, I just couldn't get my leg over. I just literally couldn't get my leg over.
I'm trying to think, like on a sort of kind of Kama Sutra level, how often it absolutely intrinsic that one gets one's leg over. Maybe the odd situation. Or does it imply that you're just constantly like sort of coquettishly crossed all the way up?
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah.
I would have absolutely loved to, but couldn't get the old leg over the other leg. We've all had it, haven't we, fellas? We've all had it.
Rich, what do you think the dearly departed Gilbert Gottfried would have said about such a thing?
Oh dear. I don't have a confidence in. I'm gonna leave you hanging with my. I don't, because sometimes it's good and then sometimes it's not, and I don't know why it's not always good or always bad. My Gilbert Gottfried.
Can you still do Gilbert Gottfried doing Girls by the Beastie Boys?
I don't know.
Damn it.
I was don't know the dishes to clean up my. But then we're back into problematic territory. That song should absolutely be cancelled. Or is it a comment on the sort of people that would say that sort of thing? Is it meta?
No, I think they were genuine at the time. I don't think
the Beastie Boys were meta yet, were they?
They did actually. Meta. I think they did apologise afterwards for how they've treated women in the early stages of their career. Anyway, Crew.
Girls to do the dishes, to clean up my room.
Yeah, everybody he's done it before and it's been much, much, much better. So I apologise. Anyway. But I did egg him on for that reason to try and get it on the pod. Anyway. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I can't always find my Gilbert.
Okay.
Gilbert Gottfried.
Rich cannot find his Gilbert, but
who are we picking for star man?
Oh, it's gotta be BB Barry Bannon.
BB.
Got to honour the legacy, if he's alive or not, of Baz's dad.
And what's more, my boy, Different Gravy shall call you their star performer for the evening.
I want Bannon is the captain for the team. I mean, I would like to hear him come out with talking about we've taken a new approach at Wednesday, which is putting it up other teams because other teams don't like it.
I think it might come from a more analytical sort of nowadays. You've got
up to Joe who's going to talk about.
Up to Joe.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
XU.
Darren, come in. Darren, I've been analysing all the teams in the league, right? And there's a trait.
Yeah.
Absolutely none of them like it up them. They don't. And because like you think like, oh, who's top of the table? Oh, Wigan are top of the table. Do they like it up them? No, they don't. None of them like it up them. I can show you the graphs. Here's all the strengths. Yeah, strengths, corners, good goalkeeper. Weaknesses, up them. Don't like it up them. They don't like it. Oh dear. That would be rather fun. Right.
So before we go full freeform jazz poetry,
is there any more for any more? Is there any more to say on this?
No, I don't think so. A great performance by Bannon. I think he's definitely. Yeah. I mean, let's put it like the guy's now got. So he's got 9 goals and he's got 12 assists. So I mean, he's not up there in terms of. They talked a lot about on coverage. I think they talked about was it Scott Twine?
Twine's
like 29 goal involvements, as they put it, which is basically combined goals and assists. So he's got 16 goals and 13 assists. So
he's the only player to have more than 10 of each assists and goals.
He scored twice against Wednesday. Because he scored in a previous game.
But Wednesday I've had 6 points off him. Do you know why? Don't like it up him.
Exactly.
Right? Moneyball, part 2. No, but he's having an incredible season, isn't he? That's a bit of news, isn't it? He's been nominated for League One Player of the Season. He's one of the players on the shortlist. That's a bit of news that we.
Yes, indeed. Oh, Berahino won PFA Fans Player of the Month.
Oh, nice
for March, I believe.
Oh,
because basically, if it's a fan thing,
we win.
We fucking have it because of Wednesday.
I'm back to finding Berahino endearing, like a small boy. A small 30-year-old boy that I want to take under my wing.
You know, he scored again as well. And Gregory scored again. It was just all the hits just kept coming.
They did. That's all good stuff.
So, no, it's good for them.
I really hope, Dean, it's not a bad injury. I think that could be a big difference in where we finish this season. If we have to play Dunkley more than once from the start of a game, that alone could be the difference between
if we have to play Dunkley ever again.
Yeah.
Before his contract expires.
Oh dear, because Iorfa's got a mystery knock as well, so we need him. We need him back.
Mystery knock.
A mystery knock.
Hello, who is
it? The mystery knock. And then Dominic Iorfa gets kidnapped.
He's already opened the door at this point.
Just one little interesting thing. It'll be interesting to see how this sort of plays out. Somebody on Austalk, Nero, to give them their due, had pulled together stats for the week. So with a whole week to prepare, we pretty much, that's our average performance throughout the season. We win 52% of games. Midweek under the lights, 70% of the games we win.
Fuck yeah.
But interestingly, third game in a week. So he's counting Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. But those games, those days, those are the weeks where there's 3 games in the space of 8 days. We win just 22% of those third games. That happens twice between now and the end of the season.
Okay. Right.
So I think that probably points to the slight weakness of having an older squad. Those heavy duty weeks maybe catches out a little bit.
I was a little bit frustrated that Portsmouth still technically right now have something to play for. I was kind of hoping there'd be discount, but I don't know if that makes any great bit of difference to, I don't know. Maybe it's Wednesday.
By the time we play them, will they?
Probably not, but it's just, I don't know. There's still a lot of things in the air at this point, let's be honest.
I must have made up that happens twice. But it does happen this week. Wickham would be the third game in a week for us.
Yeah, Wickham. That's a tough one.
Oh, and Portsmouth would be the third game in a week. So there you go. Yeah. So yeah, it's an intriguing stat. It'd be nice to. We're supposedly not good away from home, and we just beat third in the league away from home. So these things don't always bear out as exactly how they seem to ahead of time. Okay, on that, I think we should wrap this up. We should say cheerio. This has been rather fun. Hopefully, we can have fun again next week after Wycombe Wanderers come visit rock and roll manager Gareth Ainsworth. He doesn't like doing up his shirt buttons. Ooh, he's mad. Look after yourself, Luke. Look after yourself, folks at home. We'll talk again next week. Cheerio.
See you, everyone. Bye-bye.